Because they're like, you got to do this position, and I'm like, you do what?
Yeah.
YouTube. Go on YouTube and do beginner yoga. And it works you right
Alright,
through
come on
all.
guys, you guys gotta go.
Okay, we gotta go.
Hello.
Okay, you guys have fun.
Grab laptop.
All right. Good seeing
No,
you.
you don't carry a laptop. Mine.
Hello.
You know how to
Hi.
turn
Glad
on-
to see you. You doing all right? You're here.
I'm here.
Okay. Well, I'm glad you're here.
Thanks.
I'm glad that.
No, I'm
for
sorry.
a week.
Well, every day it feels like I need to go back, but I'm not.
What do you have?
Bowel obstruction.
Oh gosh. I'm sorry.
Don't let it burst, because then you're really gonna have problems.
I'm not going back unless it does burst.
You're gonna get us pulled over in the car.
It does look like I'm there.
Right here, some kind of cool. What?
On camera.
Oh, it don't matter. You started already?
Yeah.
We're going to start right now.
Alright, let's start.
Good evening and welcome to the Fraser Park Water Utility District meeting of March 14th at 6 p.m. We are live videotaping, and thank you for watching at home. Okay, let's do the pledge. Ready? Begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which is for all.
Okay, roll call of directors. Director Nyman,
Here.
Director Schoenberg,
Here.
Director Gibson,
Here.
Director Garcia is absent, and Director Killing is here. Did we have a chance to look over the agenda? Do we need to move anything?
No, I think we're good.
Yeah.
Okay. Public comments. Thank you for coming. Do you want to say anything?
No.
Okay,
Hello, how are you?
we've been good. Glad to see you here. Report of officers. I have nothing. Vice President.
Nothing.
Secretary.
Nothing.
Nothing. Treasurer.
First of all, just to let you know, for loan number 2, which puts us at what we need. So that should be complete. The only issue is I have to get with Lisa and see, because I need to cancel those, because they're scheduled, the transfers are scheduled for every month, the $652 through December, and it will not let me cancel them. I called them today and they said, well, you're not the administrator, so I can't help you. So that's that, like I said, I got the amount for our payment our USDA payment is due on the 1st of April. It's $48,724.37, which we have enough money in our operating account to transfer. However, I could not transfer because for some reason the bank closed that account, and I will be going over Monday to talk to Sherry and see if we can get that reopened so I can get that done.
Did you make an appointment with her?
She is not there. She's not there Thursday or Friday, so she will be there Monday according to the people there. And they were of no help.
You're going this Monday, the 18th?
Yes.
I can go.
Okay.
What time are you going?
We could do it like 11 or 11:15.
Okay.
And that was it.
Thank you.
And in fact, we can.
That way, if there's a problem,
Right,
I'm the
well,
administrator,
well,
we
then-
can fix the other
Right,
stuff.
and then the other issue, that what we can do is we can also maybe go over there and talk about closing our box. That way we can just do it, and maybe we don't pay them for.
Done?
Even though we're a month over. And that's all I got. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And member at large is not here. Board member initiatives, anything? Nothing, okay. Managers report.
Alright. We accomplished some after hours call outs because of freeze and a couple other issues, but nothing major. 2 mainline leak repairs. Been doing some road repair. I went out a couple days and did a bunch of road repair, and I've been having the guys go out. We're reaching a problem now where, because we haven't had dirt for so long and we don't put good dirt on the roads because it's not our responsibility, but since all the hills are on slopes, it always washes away dirt, and every time you fix it, you try to borrow dirt from one part of the road and move it back around to the middle of the road. Well, now we're getting to critical mass where if we don't start putting some soil back on the roads, all our pipes are going to be exposed, and it's just going to be a bad situation.
A bunch of dirt.
We do now have a bunch of dirt, but for one thing, we can't use it right now because it's soaked, it's saturated. When dirt has been piled up and it's all compacted, you could always get dry dirt underneath, but when it's been moved and dug up and everything, it's all soft, so it just absorbs it like a sponge. So we do use some of the dirt, but I mean that's not enough dirt to do the roads that need to be done in Fraser Park is kind of my point. So I think the roads that we have problems with, we need to start getting a little road base. I could try to get it from Caltrans down there, but we need to start trying to, if you guys remember, I think last year or the year before we did some good road base on Elm where it always washes out. Then when it rained, it lasted a lot better. It didn't just go away. When you just put dirt, it looks fine, but it doesn't stay. And if you do road repair and you don't have water, which is why I went out in the rain 2 different days, if you don't compact it, even though it looks nice, it doesn't last. So we just need to start really thinking about that, dedicating a little bit of money towards getting the road base and fixing the roads that go to our tanks. Because if we don't, we're going to be in trouble.
Yeah, well, we need to.
North End, Elm Trail, Park View is bad. A few of the other trails are just washed out. They're just bad. So I'm going to start working on doing some of those things a little bit at a time. And if we really want to do it right, we'll rent one of them little water trailers instead of a water truck because they're expensive, but now they got the smaller trailer mounted so we could spray water and compact it when we put it down so it lasts a lot longer. So I'll get back to you guys on that. I noticed on the old roof, the old office down there, we're gonna have to roof that if we want to continue using it for storage because a big chunk of, when you look at it, is blown off. They're ancient shingles anyway, but We got a big blown off section, it's just gonna start leaking through the roof, and then we won't be able to use it for storage, and since we need to start
That's
storing
a
stuff.
decent little building, there's no reason to let it.
No, it's still fine right now.
Let it
You know,
go,
we
yeah.
sealed up the holes to let use levels in and
Yeah.
all that stuff, but we really didn't store anything in it until our little storage got full, and then we started storing stuff in the old office. So we're gonna have to invest some money in roofing it to keep it. I mean, the crew already said that they would do it. You know, Billy would bring his nail guns and everything, and he'd roof it. So that saves money, but it still costs money to buy the roofing. But
Sure.
it's either that or we tear the building down.
No.
You know, because it would just go. Yeah, I mean, it's historical for one thing. But
And it's not that much stuff.
no, so I'll also be doing that. Well 5, you have it in 6A, the report. We had hoped that when we pulled it and we looked at it that it was going to be okay, but if you go to the second page of the report, the 2 columns in the bottom, you can see those big holes, and you see the elevations of where they're at.
Mm-hmm.
The casing is so thin from age that the response from Bakersfield Well and Pump and Curtis and D was we immediately got to start looking for funding to drill a new well. So I've already had D do a preliminary engineering report. Dave Warner's already spoken to USDA. We're going to try to get another emergency grant like we did the well down in the yard. They want to go
Best
bigger.
Well.
Huh?
That was our best well.
Well, yeah, and it produced. In the meantime, I'm waiting for the quote. I could go in there and check, see if I got it, but they're thinking about, they put these inserts in it in the 3 different sections of where it's the worst. Because what's happening is it lets the gravel pack into the well and the sand, so it doesn't hold anything back anymore. So you plug up those sections, and then we'll try to limp on by until we get funding. But it's a case of we need to do it sooner rather than later. And the quote, the estimate in the preliminary report is $970,000, basically $1 million
For a well?
for the well.
And that was way up.
Well, if you remember when we got the 500,000,
We've used some
when the bids
parts.
came in, it was almost 850,000. So we decided to build the building ourselves, pour the slab, do the tying, all that kind of stuff. Which if we ended up having to, we would do it again. But D says that the aquifer there is, the best we got. We got a few hundred feet of good sand bearing, water bearing sand. So he wants to go bigger on the well and get the most bang for the buck. Of
We're
course,
talking about bigger diameter.
bigger diameter, yeah. And we would put it right there at well 5 and abandon the old well. But in the meantime, we've spent whatever it is, a lot of money on the rehab of that well. But nobody had any idea. Well, we still had to do it anyway because nothing happens fast. You know how long it takes to get a grant, so we got to keep people in the water. So as I get more information, I'll let you guys know. We ought to be reinstalling the well pretty soon, but I have to get approval. I don't know what it's going to cost to make those repairs. We're not having 2 meetings a month, so that makes it kind of hard. Let me see if I got the quote. Our internet's working so good, it's taking a while to open the email. Alright, we'll check that in a minute. The quote's there, but it's taking forever to open because we're live streaming. I'll have to get the quote approved to put those sleeves in there so we can reinstall the well. So we keep the lower part of town in water. For those of you that don't know, well 5 doesn't handle a huge section of town, but in the summer times, especially the hot weather, well 6 barely shuts off. taking care of its pressure zone. Right now it's taking care of the whole town. So when things start warming up, it won't keep up with feeding the whole town. We have to have that other well down in at well 5. So we have to have something in the ground in the meantime. And I have no doubt that it's going to last for a while, but we're actively going to try to get grants. Ideally, we would get a USDA/state grant, but I don't know how that works exactly. I believe you have to get something from the state first, and then USDA matches or whatever it is. But Jesse knows, and everybody knows down there. Sean and Bill Bice from PC Pals and several other people have switched over to Calneva for internet. Bill says the only problem with Calneva, he said he hasn't had any outages except for a couple hours in the afternoon or whatever for quite a while. I think he's had it for over a year. But he said if they do go down, because they're small up here, they could be down for a day or two or whatever. But as you can tell from me trying to open up that attachment, it's taking forever. Or if we could get Calneva in conjunction with, split up what goes off of what, because ultimately that's what our problem is. We have all these computers and the printers and everything going off the same internet, and it just isn't working. It's going too slow. I would like to just get Calneva for everybody, but I don't know if they even have technically a commercial rate.
Right.
I think that's what the Mountain Enterprise uses.
I don't know.
I have some friends in Lake of the Woods that have had it for a few years and are very happy with it. They left AT&T. I'm
I
still
sure
pulling out
wasn't
my
happy with their cable service.
They don't watch TV. They're my pastor.
Yeah,
And
it
his
went
family.
out constantly. I mean, it wasn't mine; it was my neighbor's, but she was like constantly.
Yeah,
calling
no.
them.
Best they could do, and
AT&T over they have, I don't know, it's not working well.
No, it's not.
Well, they're still working on this tower out here. They've been working it. They've been for the last month. They've been coming. Then they weren't working. I don't think it's all for cell phones.
Well, it may be internet, but I think it's for internet for the cells. I don't think it's internet for office.
I don't understand this quote, so if I have to, maybe get a second meeting going or something. I think they added the sleeve in it, the repairs with the other quote, and I need it broken down for me because this is $133,000 total. So, got to talk to Dee and find out how critical it would be if we didn't do repairs.
And what was the other part covering? The other stuff we already did?
New pump, bowl assembly, stringer,
So nothing with the casing?
pipes. No, not doing anything with the casing because you hope that you don't have to do anything with the casing, but it just didn't work out for us. So I'll get back to you guys. I have no idea. I can't get you guys to pre-approve it because I have no idea how much it's going to be.
Do we need to have another meeting so that we can talk to the powers that be, Dave or whoever? We can figure out if we're gonna get.
Well, I already approved the preliminary report. Verbally, I haven't approved sending it to anybody yet because I was but basically they took a lot of the same stuff from the well 6 and just changed the particular for well 5.
Right.
But before they submit it, obviously, I'd like you guys to see it. I went ahead and had him write up the report because we really have no choice but to try to get free money. So,
And well 5, that was, according to the paper, was 1966 it was drilled?
yeah, or 65, 65 or 66,
Yeah, we were going to replace it as part of the USDA grant, but we didn't get enough money.
Ran out of money, yeah. It's long past its prime.
But it was also working, so we thought, oh, well.
See, it's still working, but when we replaced the tank, I had no experience yet. So when we tore down the old tank and we had, you know, close to a foot of sand in the tank, I had no idea what it meant.
Why?
Yeah, I just figured, well, it's a well, and that's what happens with wells. Now I know it's because the casing has been, you know, getting big holes in it, and you know the louvers have been letting sand in and everything all this time. Which, you know, the sand and all that stuff obviously wears out the pumps too, the bowls, because the grit in there is doing so. Now I know what to watch out for, but we couldn't have done anything about it anyway at that time. We didn't have the money, but so we'll start working on that. The other thing is the dirt lot. You guys know the dirt lot over by Don's. Marcus from the solar company in town called me up yesterday, the day before, and said he's interested in buying the wood lot that the guys have been trying to sell forever to put up a metal building, but he thinks that the county would make him show that he had parking, and so he was interested in a long-term lease with us to be able to park vehicles and stuff on that lot. I said, well, we're thinking about maybe it being a well site, you know, which we wouldn't know for, you know, a couple of months or whatever when we get the money and we do the test wells, but places to park stuff. So I said, well, I'll bring it to my board and see if they're interested. I see no reason why we would not want to do that. It's just like leasing out a sign or anything else that we've done. If somebody wants to pay us to park on a lot we're not using anyway, all the dirt that's on it that we haven't done anything with because it's got asphalt and a bunch of stuff in it, and just take it out to his Lockwood Valley property because he has a bunch of areas where he needs to fill it in. He said, so when you need to clean the lot, if you rent it to me, you can just take all that stuff and just dump it out at my place. Great, kill two birds with one stone.
It's got chunks of asphalt.
Yeah, because he don't care. It's on his ranch, and that asphalt in it, and you can't get that asphalt out.
Yeah, it's a hazardous.
Yeah, so I don't know how to broach the subject of cost and all that kind of stuff, but I could have him come to the next board meeting.
We would have to have him come, and we'd have to do a contract just like we did.
I mean, we'd have to come up with what it
T-Mobile
would
or
cost.
whoever, yeah.
You guys decide it'd be better than nothing. Get some money coming in,
And
that's if he
who
buys
is that?
the wood lot.
Marcus Beal.
He's a guy that owns it says
He owns
something solar across from Dollar General, and they sell dog food as well.
It's Interfaith or whatever.
Oh.
So
Yeah,
there,
Interfaith, yeah.
he advertises on TV and stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd never actually met the guy, but he called and was interested in it. So
He wants
I'll
to
tell
put
him that
up
you guys are interested.
Huh?
He wants to put up a metal building?
On
wants
the
to-
other lot. On
Yeah,
the,
but I'm just.
Yeah, it's like a storage building, I would imagine.
Oh.
probably for all of their
stuff,
solar
yeah.
panels and stuff like that.
Yeah,
Because
because
I
they're,
just-
they're
Because-
building small.
Because I don't think you can actually have a full-on building there because it's in the floodplain. So
You have to do like Ace had to do special engineering and stuff to put their big,
yeah, I mean you can have a
metal
place where
buildings
you
there.
do storage and stuff, but I don't think you can have
like an actual operating
an
business.
actual operating. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, but I know it's a pain. Most people don't think it's worth it, but maybe he does. But I guess he doesn't want to proceed with buying the property if he doesn't have the parking next to it. So that's why he wants to do long term. And even if we had a well there,
Or maybe he does want to move the business there. I don't know if he gets a special permit because they're in that metal building. They're on
yeah.
on Mount Pinos, but
So I don't know. So I'll tell him to come to the next meeting
yeah. I mean, well,
and broach
maybe
the
we should
subject with
think. Yeah. I mean, maybe we should meet to think about what. I mean, we have to research what that would normally. What a normal charge is for that.
you. Yeah, I could ask.
And it'd have to be a contract where we were able to get out of it, you know. It would,
if need be, but.
yeah, if need be.
Yeah, I mean, we would still want to have access to it, you know, whether we put a well or not, you know, so we'd still have to share,
Have easement.
yeah, whatever it may be, but I don't know if a well's gonna end up going there or not, but you gotta be able to assume that it's gonna. And other than that,
Well, it may not be a good spot for the well. It might have to be on the other side because that spot, that side may have
research.
issues.
Oh, I had to talk to Alan Dowd, so I emailed him and had him research an issue that we had. This lady came in with the power of attorney. Gave power of attorney for ungodly power of attorney too. Obviously, you could tell. Well, it turns out her niece is an attorney or something. Anyway, she gave power of attorney to somebody. She claims that whoever had the power of attorney emptied out her bank accounts, and they were trying to get. They had come in here, talked to Cassandra. They had come in here a couple months back, or however long, and tried to get the ownership of her house transferred into their name. Which legally, oh no, they didn't come in here, they emailed.
No, he came in with her at one point.
Oh, okay. Well, at some point, it was via email, and Cassandra said, well, before we do that, you gotta come in, which was good. And now she doesn't want, obviously, any power of attorney, durable power of attorney. I didn't know what took precedence over it, so I sent both to the attorney and had him look at it. He said to go with her, rescinding the power of attorney. So, but she warned us that the niece is an attorney and is gonna probably, call up and threaten, all kinds of legal stuff, which is good that I have our attorney knowing what's going on.
But whose name is it currently?
It's in hers. It never got changed out of her name because she wouldn't do it.
That's
On the
good.
phone. She's always super careful about any of that stuff because we come up with weird things sometimes. We do
Yeah, I know. We've had.
the grant deeds, but sometimes people come in with
Trustees deed.
different things that give them legal right, and it's been a slow learning curve for us to know what we could accept and what we can't accept to change names, because one person came in and had all the stamps, but there was whited out information on it.
Yeah.
And that's the one that I almost, the cops had to come and all that because they were swearing it was legitimate. It turned out it was. They had another copy that was stamped apparently after the whiteout and everything was done, because apparently you can fill them out even by hand if you want. Once they're stamped, they're good, but it looked shiesty to me, so I didn't accept it.
Sounds trusty.
Yeah, but it turned out it was fine.
Weird.
But still. So I'm leery about doing things that we have no knowledge of. And the power of attorney, if somebody's losing their mental capacities, that's what a power of attorney is for. That's what I didn't know. Okay, well maybe she's slipping a little bit and they're just looking out for her, trying to take care of her. And I didn't want to be the one to have to decide that. So the attorney says just go with her letter and I'll call it good.
And
But you can't do even if somebody's not slipping that specific trust.
Their family would have to go back to court, and then the court would have to.
That's a
deem her.
conservatorship, though.
Yeah,
And it doesn't
that's
sound like
different,
it was a conservatorship.
It
If it's
wasn't.
just a durable power of
Yeah.
attorney.
Yeah.
You can revoke it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so apparently they just started taking everything over and she's trying to get out of it, so. All right, the next thing, the administrative assistant report.
Okay.
Tiffany said, please complete your ethics and sexual harassment training. There's 2 directors left. They have to do it. We don't know what's gonna happen now, but she was trying to get everything in because the transparency stuff that she'd done, she had a deadline to get all that in time for the transparency, all that work she'd done, and she's not really sure what they're gonna do if it takes too long, if it's gonna go through or not, or if she's gonna have to redo it. So just when you get, as soon as you
It would
can,
have been
that'd be
good if it
good.
was just me, since I was in the hospital. But
No, there's 2.
There's 2 of us. It's not.
Yeah,
But-
me too.
It's
I
just
haven't done it.
it's just something that you don't think about all the time. You
No,
put
I thought
off.
about it today.
Yeah, because you're gonna come here, yeah. That's why when she sends it to me,
Oh,
I
where's
do it
the
that day.
postage?
Because I'm bad for that too.
Right. Thing to me again.
It's bad enough doing it on your own, let alone when you do it in a group, and then it takes twice as long.
Easier in a group.
All right, the bonds, BOD bonds, I'm guessing it means board bonds, have renewed. No need to sign paperwork this year. This is actually other
They're in
stuff
there.
now.
We paid for them $4,000.
The other 2 things I'll bring up when we go get to
$800 apiece.
that line item. The other 2 notes on here. So I'm
Oh.
done.
Okay. Ad hoc. Oh, you have something?
Well, that was real depressing. Thank you. I just want to be here.
Ad hoc committee reports. Meeting of the local water companies.
Hasn't happened yet. It happens on the 20th. Oh no.
No, it was
happened.
February.
Oh yeah.
It was February 20th, and
That's
it was,
right. I couldn't go.
You were sick, and I couldn't go. So did
I went on the phone. I completely forgot.
Oh,
I
okay.
did attend. Sorry.
So we have no report.
No, I was there. We do
Oh,
have
you-
a report. I was
Oh.
on the phone with them.
Oh,
It wasn't a full meeting though. So the report is that it was the woman from, they paid, we didn't pay for it. I guess Lebec or somebody paid for the person to come up from Calwarn.
yeah.
And so she came up here, did a whole talk. They were incorrect as far as us needing to provide maps of the whole system. That's not what Calwarn meant. They meant a more superficial map, like what your boundaries are. So basically, it's to make sure that everybody knows exactly what
Belongs to
area
who, yeah.
we cover, so that if there was an emergency, it's very clear what areas belongs to whom. And I mean, you probably could give up. I was really out of it because I had pneumonia, but basically there were some good questions asked. I know that. So it wasn't a regular meeting. It was just a presentation so that more people could attend without it being a issue for like us or anyone else who can only have a certain amount of board members there. I took some notes. I completely forgot to bring them. Basically, the biggest thing was trying to do that mapping just so that everybody had that information.
Can you give any
there?
insight?
Well, I'm not sure that she was from Calwarn. She runs a water company in Orange County, and their company is with Calwarn as well as some others.
No, she was
And
working
so she-
for Calwarn.
sorry?
She was working for Calwarn because they sent her to go be a. She wouldn't do that if she was just a water company.
All the people I communicated with in Calwarn, they got us signed up and all that stuff. They all worked
At water companies.
at water companies, but they also had official positions.
Yeah, because she had.
With-
Sorry, 1 second. This was critical that that Calwarn does not carry insurance or anything. So your company's insurance, when you have someone come out and they're doing stuff for you, it's under your insurance. So that's a pretty critical thing. So you need to make sure that
I can talk to
that's covered.
JPIA.
So
We covered what happens with our stuff when we go somewhere else, but I didn't ask them if they cover people working here, but I'm sure they do.
yeah,
Because our contractors and everybody that comes here, they have to have their own insurance, but our insurance will also cover them.
right. So they were talking about like mutual agreements. So what what you want to charge. So for the chargeback, whose insurance is really covering it? If for some reason you're trying to make sure that they have insurance as well. Because there was some issues with work comp that she was talking about.
Yeah, she made a big issue. It was necessary somehow for her to repeat several times that it was a voluntary thing. So suppose that Lebec has a problem, and you can do something about it. You can lend them a piece of equipment or manpower or something like that. You're not obligated to. It's pretty much informal that way. So if Lebec, say, requests something from Fraser Park, and Fraser Park just says no, forget the reason. They just, you just choose not to do it. She was talking about coordinating stuff so that automatically they would go to somebody else. Say they might go.
Right. So you would have a list of a few different people that you.
With the idea that it's an emergency and time is of the essence. It's not a binding obligation among the water companies. It is more an agreement of friendship and cooperation. Is that the way you understood it?
And just so you know, the last fire where the whole town burned down, and I think there was a big fire in Simi, near Simi. There was an article that came out, and the state sent it out, and it talked about Cal Warren, and it said in any disaster of any size, don't expect your neighbors to help you. People from outside the area will come and help you.
Mhm.
And they specified that because when their fire started, they said it was far away, but they could see it, and they decided to go ahead and mobilize their emergency
Right.
command post anyway.
Right.
And then before you know it, the fire was on them. So they were glad that they already had started emergency preparations.
Mhm.
But they were talking about Cal Warren, and they said explicitly in that line, don't count on your neighbor helping you because you got to get help from outside the area. That's the
Well,
whole
she
purpose
actually
of it.
said the opposite of that.
Yeah, well,
She-
this is, and she's wrong because I've talked to them multiple times and the state. They say that anytime, because
well, in a big emergency, yes.
that's the only time you're ever going to do Cal Warren is in a big emergency. You're not going to do an emergency if Lebec
Somebody-
has a busted pipe
Right.
and they can't handle it. They call Santana. We're not going to send our guys down there. If a fire rips through and burns down Lake of the Woods, that's when you call Cal Warren. And then in that situation, we're still going to be here preparing for the fire coming to us.
Right. So
That's
we're
why
definitely not
that's why
gonna
they're
send-
saying if we have a big fire here, Simi Valley or Riverside or whoever could come here and help us,
Right.
And
so
vice
but-
versa.
But they actually asked the local companies first. So the way she said it works is that if it's something that there's a local company, but they're within,
Yeah.
But then if Lebec couldn't provide help, then they have a whole list. So what they do is they research. They have, a list of. So she was suggesting that we try to get information on, that we put together information on what we actually have. It does not obligate us in any way to actually loan it to anybody. But what we have, so that our coordinator, who is actually kind of far from us. Like actually, where did she say they're at?
Up near Sacramento.
Up by Sacramento, which is kind of crazy because she actually knows more about this area than. So she said like she would actually have been the better person, but that's not what they did. So because we're in a different county, we go up north, so or mid state. So anyway, that coordinator takes basically as a coordinator, she makes all kinds of calls, finds out who's got what, and then she would go down the list so that if you needed stuff, she would try first the local company that would be reasonable, and then if that doesn't work, go outside, and then it
Well,
just
and
keeps
you know what
expanding.
you know what our problem is? We've always loaned like small pumps.
Okay, so we're not supposed to do that at all. That's the other thing that they talked about, because as it's actually, and this is huge and it's really important, and that's the one thing I really got out of it. It's all coming back to me now because I was really sick. But the most important thing is that as a public utility district, we are not allowed to do that.
To loan a piece of pipe.
Yeah.
Why?
Because it belongs to the community, and we need to talk to somebody about that, because you're not really supposed to. You can loan between another
Utility.
public utility, but you cannot loan to.
Well,
like
we could
a
check with
mutual
the
or-
attorney, but it's such an informal, like Lebec had a major emergency. It was flooding out that building that they put up behind the CHP office.
Yeah.
Literally flooded out the building that they just now built. So they needed a piece of 6-inch pipe. They couldn't get it anywhere else. We loaned it. They brought it back. We got it.
Right. Well,
But my point is, if we make a list of what we got, our insurance already told us we cannot loan out any equipment, dump truck, anything without loaning out a guy. One of us has to go with it or they won't cover it.
and that's
And our guys don't want to work with,
obligated to
so
do that.
it's just, but they would go like if, there was a whole town gonna burn up or something. I mean, obviously they're gonna help then, but.
But that would be
Well,
where
you
the
need-
workers' comp comes in, right?
Yeah, and you need to have. She was saying the agreements need to be ahead of time. That you need to have mutual agreements with whoever you think you might be willing to work with. Because if you try to do it at the last minute when there's actually an emergency, there's
See,
all
that's
kinds
weird
of
because
problems
that's not what
that
they told
happen.
me. I probably have an email pertaining to that. I asked specifically what else we had to do. They said nothing. Once I submitted the original paperwork, they said that we were on the list, and because you never know who's gonna come. All the members in Cal Warren, you can't do an agreement with all of
Right,
them.
we don't know who's gonna come here, it's like us, so if we don't have an agreement, okay, so let's say Santa Cruz came and they did all this stuff
Yeah.
for us. If you have not worked out the agreement ahead of time, they have no real say, so it becomes problematic on reimbursement from us.
So it's no good to even be
So-
part of Cal Warren then,
No,
because we're not, what I'm saying is, you don't know if it's gonna be Santa Cruz, Cucamonga, San Diego, you don't know, so you can't do an agreement with everybody,
Yeah.
because at the time, they may just say, no, I can't do it.
well,
So that's why Cal Warren said, when I asked him that specific question about the legality and getting reimbursed, they said, no, you sign up, you can't come and help you. That was the whole purpose of Cal Warren.
right,
if we're
they
doing
can,
agreements
they can
with
come,
people-
but she was strongly suggesting that the agreements be
So
ahead
how do
of
you
time,
do that
right?
though? Is all I'm
that
getting
you
at.
that you find companies that are within a certain amount of distance, because she also said it's, what they try to do is they go outward from wherever you're at, so obviously they're not going to probably send somebody from Sacramento
Ours
here
would
unless
probably
it
be
was a
2
really
hours, I would
huge
guess. Couple
yeah
hours.
yeah
Wasco, Delano,
exactly, so you try
Santa
to find
Clarita, places like that, Valencia.
right, so she was just suggesting that ahead of time that you work out some sort of mutual agreements with
Wonder how
a
come
few
they don't tell you that
companies.
She was
when
talking
you sign
about
up when you sign up with Cal Warren. How come they
Okay,
don't tell you all
hold-
that stuff?
hold on.
She was talking about setting rates in advance.
Yeah, so that
Yeah, well,
you
we
get-
should definitely set rates, but I mean, as far as getting into agreements with everybody, I don't know how we do that.
Well, these agreements are not binding agreements.
Yeah, it's not a
It's
No, that
binding-
ain't, no, that ain't
It's
what
not
I
like I'm
mean.
buying your house or something.
No, that ain't what I mean. I mean just the logistics of doing the agreement and getting it through everybody's attorneys that you make the agreement with is
It's not,
It's a
yeah, but
huge
it's
deal.
not like that. It's not what she was suggesting. Is it's not that binding of a contract. It's sort of a loose agreement that you have a basic understanding. If some things change,
See,
they
that's weird
change.
because it was my understanding is whatever the cost was incurred.
Johnny.
I would
That's what
think,
they told me. That's the opinion that they gave me when I was talking to them about it. Was whatever the cost was that was
Well-
incurred, like hourly wages, transportation, stuff like that, would be covered, and we know what everybody makes and what we pay. So if we had to send guys out of town, we know exactly how much it is, and you submit the bill for.
Right, but
Exactly
if you
how it
haven't had some sort of conversation, she was suggesting with whoever they go to, that there could be
So you basically just pick one or two
Potentially.
people and hope that they're gonna.
a few people in your.
And how do you validate that kind of thing, right? It's like,
It's just it's like a loose agreement. So I don't know, because this woman obviously is a pretty big coordinator for. She was doing. What water company was she working for?
can't
One in
remember.
Orange.
It was a big Orange County. All the Orange County water companies were coordinating, so they had already done that amongst themselves. But they're all public utility districts, so they I think, or maybe there were a few that weren't. And that's why she was saying you have to be careful who you're actually doing it with. It's
Yeah, there's some.
a public utility district to a public utility district is not a problem. You're already covered because you're, and so that's probably what they were talking about.
Right.
But if it's a public utility and like a mutual or something like
private.
that, a private specifically, then
See,
you
they
have
certainly
more
need
issues.
to work out their website
Well, I
and
was
stuff
gonna
because
say-
it don't say any of that stuff on their
Why
website.
doesn't Cal Warren make rates and
They don't. They're
because
that's
then it would because if you're in this conglomerate, then it would be okay.
yeah. They're
You're
they're
agreeing
just
to
a
be within
coordinator.
the.
It's okay. Well, I made a note
I
that
mean-
I have to call Cal Warren and confirm, and maybe they have some kind of template, a rough template of what's
Linda.
common,
Yeah.
and
So
ask
I-
them
and-
because I specifically asked this question, and the people that signed us up didn't say any of that stuff. So if that's what we have to
We
do,
only have one
I assume
meeting.
that they have some type of template because otherwise we're spending more money with our attorney to draw it up.
And
I think they do. I think she
Should've
said
been
that they had some
42,
stuff. I just, it's hard because I was sick and I wasn't
That's right, I'll-
physically
I'll-
at the meeting.
I'll call them and ask them
But,
and find out what we got, and then see. There's got to be an easy way to do it because they made it sound like it was.
Yeah, this seems
Just
very
a mo-
complicated.
They made it the most natural thing
Yeah.
that there was. When you need help, we'll come and help you. When we need help, you come and help us.
Yeah.
It was made to sound that simple. You know,
Well,
you load up your
didn't
stuff
make
and
it
you go.
sound
And,
that
and
simple.
it is on the front side.
Yeah.
On the back side,
Once you get it all
after the
established.
emergency, you know, when
Yeah.
everybody's calm, and now
The reimbursements happen, then there can be some issues, is what she was saying. So she was saying if you really want things to go smoothly, I think is really the. I think as far as things actually happening, it'll show up and it'll happen, but then the reimbursement gets interesting.
See, and I would think that if, you know, if our town was burning down and we had no water and people came in and helped us, and they submitted payroll actual payroll request, we would pay that. If,
Right, and-
if Santa Clarita needed my help, I would go and not worry about my pay. I would just go. And
Right,
you know,
but
I
I-
thought that's kind of the feeling that everybody had was neighbors that are not necessarily neighbors are helping.
So
Okay, so I'll see if they have the agreements, and then I'll just pick, you know, several that.
and I
That'd be
think
viable.
I need to get her number again and call, or we definitely need to talk about the loaning stuff, because she was very clear on that a public utility
yeah,
with a
but-
public utility.
I mean,
would not-
it's such
we
a
have her number.
it's such a informal.
It's like a law though.
Well, that's
what she was
that
trying
you know.
to say.
I mean, the whole purpose of you guys doing the local water company thing is to bring the neighborliness together.
Yeah.
And now instead of doing that, now we're shutting everybody off of what we have always done for the last 10 years.
But it
of
was
sharing
it
that
was
stuff,
news
so.
to me, and it was like she was very clear when I questioned, and I don't remember everything. That's the problem, because I was sick. But I questioned her a couple of times on that, and she was very clear that there are some issues with that, and it's because of the it's because of what's drawn up when you become a special district, that you're different. You can do that with another special district, but not with a private company.
So I guess another email to Alan Dowd.
In fact, if I remember correctly, I think what she was saying was, when there is a mutual to mutual, this here, that we have certain state protection. If it involves a private company, then that protection goes away.
But this was even more than that. She was saying it's against whatever our special district. I would have to go and read more about special districts, but it's a specific thing for special districts that you are not, because everyone is into the system in a specific way, that you can't just go loan stuff that belongs to the town to just anybody. You can loan to another special district, but not.
So what that's telling us is all of our wanting to work with each other, all the stuff that you guys have been talking
May
about
be a problem. Yeah.
is basically just null and void, because we can't do anything amongst each other anyway. So
Well,
They
no,
can.
they can all
They
do
can-
it.
they
They
can
can all,
all
but
do
we
it, it's
can't.
just
yeah, but what nobody,
us.
but
And that's-
what nobody
that's-
really seems to understand is the only people that are even remotely like us is Mill Potrero, and they're private. But as far as stock and equipment and everything, usually we get the phone calls.
Right.
Hey, I need this,
Just
no problem. But if we can't do those kind of things, that's going to be a real bummer.
Oh, yeah.
I think we just need to read up on that, because that
I'll
caught
ask
me
Alan
by.
Dowd, what kind of legal ramifications we would have if we loaned out a.
Well,
you know,
before you
piece
even
of
ask
pipe.
him that, I think we should look at or make sure that tell him exactly what was said to us by the town warrant person.
And again, the issue happens when at building time, the disaster has happened.
This was separate though. That was separate.
No, we're talking about a
She was
separate
talking about a
topic.
completely separate
Like
thing.
I
which
could
was
see it if I gave Lebec a piece of pipe and I didn't follow up
I
in the park. But I knew I was going to get back in 2 or 3 days. It was already coming. I could have got it back the next day for sure. So I loaned it out and I got it right back. So there was no transfer of anything. As a matter of fact, they even offered to have Ferguson just deliver it back to us at their cost.
Well, there might be specifics to it, but it's
But
something
I mean,
that
technically, I'm sure
we need to
if
look
you
into.
get down to technical, I can tell you right now. Technically, if you go by the letter of the law, it's going to be no. It
His
just makes,
neighbor-
it just
neighbor.
makes common sense.
Yeah.
But neighbor.
If
No,
I-
but we're
if
not.
I
It's-
take yours-
they're different.
If I take your stuff without asking you and then I loan it to Brahma, because I just know that he's gonna give it back and you'll never miss it,
Notice, yeah, you can't do that.
you can't do it, so we might as well just go with the assumption that it ain't gonna happen. But is anybody gonna push the issue legally? Does anybody get,
And then we would have all kinds of problems, so, it's just something that I think we really need to make, and we probably
Yeah.
need,
Okay.
I'll do it.
Sigma, there's not been anything. And depreciation of
no,
asset,
No.
nothing. Okay.
I wanted to ask about the depreciation of assets.
Okay.
When I was talking to the auditors, basically they said that almost everything we would take off has already depreciated to the point of no value. So do you think there's more stuff on there that is of value that matters, or are we just,
some of this,
or are
yeah,
we just
we're-
cleaning up the list? Because most of the stuff we don't know what it is has already been depreciated out.
no, there was stuff on
Financially.
there that had not been depreciated out. I wasn't even worried about the stuff that had been
If you give me the
depreciated.
list-
We took off the stuff that had been
If you give me the
depreciated.
list, I could go through it and mark it for you. This is this, this is this, this is this, and this, I have no idea, which is gonna be a lot of it. We have no idea what this
Well,
is.
that's the problem, but we.
Because
went
we
through
already
the
did that
list and
once.
We had no idea.
We already did that once, and then there's some stuff left, and there's no way to ever know.
Well, and that stuff is probably, I mean, if it's that old, it's already depreciated.
No, it's,
a
they
lot of it is-
categorized stuff wrong. They said piping.
Right, and so
Well,
what really
what
needs,
piping? The piping that's on East End, or the piping on Park, or what piping? So there's
Oh,
no
piping
way.
in the ground versus
Yeah,
the piping.
tanks, everything. So what really needs to happen is stuff's categorized incorrectly, and that's the stuff that has to be fixed. We need to have
If we could
the
figure it out.
actual pipe. Well, we need to rewrite it correctly because we aren't going to be able to figure it out because it just says piping. So how could you ever figure that out? You can't, but you can figure out that a certain amount of pipe, like we have to. It was a big chore because we had to go back and look at what piping we actually replaced, and that piping needs to be written as the actual real piping it is. Like when we were like all the original USDA grant that hasn't depreciated out, and so that it's all written as like pipe. It doesn't say pipe where, so we need to go through and actually specify where that pipe is, specify the tanks, and they had put the tanks together. So like our last grant, everything was lumped together as distribution system, but you can't do that. It has
No.
to be like separate tanks and everything. So
Cool.
it's like a huge chore, and that's why it hasn't happened because it needs all of us. Like you have to be a part of it too. It needs the ad hoc and you because we don't know.
The only help I'll be that I haven't already done when we did it last year or the year before is when we sit down and we go through the projects
We
because
have
the
to
maps
go-
aren't going to tell us anything. We got to go back through the report
Exactly.
from the grant saying what was going to be replaced, and then we have to try to confirm that it's the final what happened because we don't have as-bills. We have as-bills from the $3.1 million grant, and that's it. Almost everything else we got is multiple versions of.
We have as-bills from the prior to that, but they didn't.
Well, what I'm telling you is, if they are, they're not in these maps. And I've gone through them. You can see right there. I've been categorizing them, putting them in the box. I'm gonna start taking them down and having them transferred electronically, and then get you guys to approve a couple of tablets or laptops for the trucks, like the gas company has. So all of the maps are on digital form. So when you're out on a leak or something, you can actually call it up and look and see what we
Find
got.
where the valves are.
But it's taken a lot of time for me to go through all of them because there are 5 of each one. And then a missing page or two out of this one and not out
Right,
of
but
that
at
one.
one point we were going to try to pay and consolidate, so we
And consolidate most of them, except for projects going from the 3.1 million forward, because unless you have an as-built, you can't consolidate it until you prove it, and it costs a lot of money to pothole to prove what's in the ground. So that's the problem. When I was talking to Dee, he said, yeah, we'd have to try to get a grant for a vacuum truck. They could come out and pothole with a vacuum truck. They blow water in and suck it out. So we could verify what's in the ground where. at that time, and then you could add it to the map. Otherwise, we're just contributing more bad data with the ones that we got. So any as-built we find, like I know what's in the ground from the 3.1 million, and if we find the prior grant, like, oh, and I'm sorry, the prior one with Springer, we got that
We
stuff.
have that.
We know what that
Some of
is.
it, yeah.
So from Springer forward, we could do that with certainty. The rest of it is guesses as
Well,
to what's
some
actually
of
there
this-
organized for you. So
Okay.
Okay. Linda, welcome.
Hi. All right. So, our balances is 1,463,941.75. Our operating account as of February 28th is 248,484.92. As of today, it was approximately 290,000. There is a transfer, I don't know if we made the transfer yet, but the amount that needs to go into the USDA account by April 1st is $48,724.37.
And they closed our
And they
payment account.
closed our
yeah.
account
We can't.
without authorization.
we haven't voted on it yet.
And also, the construction account, we still haven't been getting the
voted on it.
statements, but I'm able to at least get those online. But when I tried to get it online for the USDA fund, I couldn't, but it showed the correct zero balance. I was still able to reconcile because that was the balance we have. But
I'm sorry, what couldn't you get on that? I
I
swear.
couldn't get online and get the USDA bank statement. We tried to do the transfer today and we couldn't because it was closed. So, so there's that. I also submitted local government compensation report, which is done every year. It wasn't due until April 1st, but I did that. I think I did that on Monday. And then also I sent the audit report to the state as well, because if we didn't do it right away, we could be fined $2,000 to $5,000. So I got that to them based on the notes that I had in the file, that it was approved based on some wording being changed. And there was a new bill amount which previous, when we paid for it 3 years ago, it was $2,548, and this time it's $2,791. So those are a new bill that we don't see very often. And that's the end of my report.
Okay.
And so the Forest Service bill. See, I thought we
What's that for?
paid
It's
it.
a
Well,
permit for us
Oh,
to
it's
use.
the
Yeah, the tank.
permit, but
This-
we paid the permit. It's a 20-year permit. So why are we getting charged?
We've been paying it every 3 years for that, for all the records that I've seen.
I don't know. Something we need to keep an eye on and look up to see if we're just getting billed for something that we're, because the permit itself we paid a
Project, right?
yeah, and so I don't know why we'd be paying a additional permit fee unless this is for, no, because the permit was for both. The permit was for anything on Forest Service land.
Well, it's like an access permit fee to have access to
oh,
their
I have it.
land.
I'll look it up. Okay.
So, and I had questioned Johnny and said, I don't recall seeing this before, but I went back and sure enough, we had paid it in 2013 and 2016.
Because it lists all their sites on it.
It does, it lists all the sites. In fact, they wanted me to include the entire invoice. It shows all the sites that's included in that. So that's why the envelope's so thick, because I copied it and made sure the invoice was in there.
And why did our post office go to 1,000?
Well, I originally meant it to be 500, but then when I saw that it was 1,000, Brahma brought that to my attention today. In actuality, I'm recommending leave that check there, because right now we only have not even enough to a full amount of postage. This way we have one mailing in reserve at all times. So if we happen to have to do an emergency mailing or whatever, we're covered, and then we can get back.
When was the last time we got a balance?
The last time we got a balance was about 2 or 3 months ago.
See, that's our problem right now.
Yeah,
Is
because it
we have
seems
no
like
idea
we're
what the
constantly
balance is,
putting money
and this is
in
what
there.
happened. They stopped giving us receipts.
Right.
They say you have to log in, but somebody else has the login for the USPS. I've called multiple times and keep on tried to go on there because somebody has to get rid of the prior account login so I can log in. And I've yet to be able to do that. I think you even tried, didn't you, Cassandra? Or Tiffany did, or to log into the post office.
Oh yeah, I tried.
Yeah. Yeah, and we can't do it.
So I'm just a little worried that we're throwing all this money in there and we
Well,
don't even know.
I've been keeping a running balance, and even though I haven't been able to
'Cause
reconcile
we've
it.
put in extra money other times
Yeah.
too.
Yeah, but we've used it, like we had used it with the last, we did 2 mailings a few months ago.
But
and
we
that was the
also
last.
paid.
Now, but we're not gonna know until,
Well,
I mean,
right.
I could go in again and make them print out one, argue with the postmaster, because they're trying to save their, they used to, when we mailed it, they would put the receipt with a balance in our box. Do we get receipts now, but we don't have a
Well, it
balance
used
on
to
it?
have that the receipt, when we made the deposit, on that receipt, it showed that with that deposit, here was our new balance.
Yeah, that
And-
would make sense.
And it doesn't do that anymore.
Well, I'll
So,
get a balance from the post
So
office.
do
I'm-
we really want to put $1,000 in? Because I'm pretty sure we already have.
No,
We
according to
started
my
putting
records,
extra
right
in there.
now, after the last mailing, we only have about 200 in there.
And the
That
only
doesn't
reason it's a problem that
sense
not,
to me.
I mean, we could have done enough for just one mailing instead of $1,000, because I could go down and I could buy 10,000 stamps with a credit card. They don't have a problem with that. They won't let me pay for postage to mail the bills with a credit card. Ideally, that's what we would always do and not ever keep money in the account.
Right.
But they won't let you do that. There's something in there, again, you would have to be able to access the website, and I think you could probably change that, where we can pay for it with a credit card. Ideally, that's how we would just do all the mailings. Go down, pay with the credit card, they don't have any of our money, because I have no faith that their accounting is correct.
Yeah, I don't
Either.
either.
And there was a time too when we would only replenish that when it got down below 750.
Oh, actually, I guess the
And we've
problem
been
is,
letting it get down to 200, 150.
actually, I guess what the problem is, you don't know what it's gonna cost until after they mail them
Right.
out. That's the problem.
But
That's why they don't let you pay at the
But
time.
we did a separate check for the mailings.
Yeah.
That wasn't this.
Yeah.
That's
So
not
I'm confused.
what always happened
this
before,
is-
except for in the last 5 or 6 months maybe. I would keep track, and when it got below 750 is when I
$750?
right when the balance with the post office got below $750, then that's when I would submit to put in.
First the mailing,
Right.
and the last time we did a special mailing, I paid the
It
mailing
was
company
separately.
Right.
with the credit card. So
That's
if we
what
do a
I'm
special
saying.
mailing, we'll just pay for that.
I know, but that's why I'm
No,
saying,
that's what I'm
do we
saying, we
really
don't-
want to do $1,000 right now?
That's what I was just
Okay.
proving your point.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, thank you.
So now we're going to be having a mailing on this in 2 weeks
For what?
for the new invoices, and then any
You mean
more
next
because I've
month's
been
billing?
cutting one I've been cutting a $500 check.
That's what
every
I'm
month.
saying.
Every month,
The
that's
five-
what we were saying.
The director fees, I had already put in, because I have that automatically coming in, I'd already put in the automatic for this, so it actually paid you for tonight, and that's why it came out that way, and I didn't notice it when I cut the checks.
Yeah, but we haven't had a second meeting for months.
No, it paid you for last month plus tonight, because I had put it up already. Okay.
For the regular mailing, because that covers all of the mailing.
And if we're doing the special mailings with that service now, and we're not doing it through the post office, then that's fine.
Well then,
So
Mr. Gibson,
I,
And then what do you guys think
I
about
second
your
all in favor?
I
Aye.
and what about your checks?
she already
already
did it.
fixed those.
Oh,
She already
And did
fixed
you
them.
fix the other one that was
Yes.
$4 and something cents?
Yes, I did.
Cool.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, so then I make a motion that we pay our bills with the fixes amendments that have already been discussed and have happened already.
I second that motion.
I'm sorry, and as part of that motion, I still wanna look into the, I mean, I'm gonna sign, I think we should look into this forest service.
Okay.
I second that. I'm
All in favor?
okay with it. Everything.
Aye.
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 400. No,
No,
401.
401.
401.
So these, one of those is yours though.
Okay. Do we want to take a brief recess?
No.
No.
Okay. Discussion and vote on emergency preparedness for the district and the mountain communities.
Okay, Tiffany wrote a note, says after sending several emails to different agencies about NIMS training, I got a response from Cal OES. He should be giving us a quote for in-house training. But, well, I suppose that'd still be good for, Cal Warren. Not so much for the.
They were
local
actually
water
suggesting
companies,
that water companies do that.
but- Oh, no, I mean, that's why I've already taken it 3 times. I already know
Yeah.
it's important, but, we gotta get somebody in here that's actually gonna train us. You can do it self-taught online. They give you all the
Right.
information for free. Don't cost anything, but it's gonna help better to have somebody come in and give the training. The emergency supplies, it's on here. I don't know how you guys want it. I printed out a bunch of stuff that, I think is, right in line with what we've been talking. Emergency blankets, there's, there's these life straws, personal water filter straws, that if the water isn't quite as clean as you want it, you drink through the straw and it purifies the water.
that's pretty cool.
You know, they're cheap, but I just don't know, I mean, if you figure $1,500, here's a 80 serving, 25-year shelf life of food for $140. You know, you have to figure out how
Must be
many,
tasty.
yeah, it's not gonna taste good, but it'll taste good on your second or third day of no food, so. Then it's gonna taste real good, so, but I don't know how you guys want me to try to split up the cost. I personally think you should just say, yeah, get some food and, you know,
Food and water.
30 blankets and, I think I even have some water in here, but, we get water purification tablets and those straws kinda helps get rid of the need of some water, because, I don't know if you know, but every tank, you can only drain it down to about 2 feet from the bottom anyway. So every tank is gonna have, unless it ruptures out the side, it's gonna have a lot of water in there. You just have to purify it. And, we can do that with chlorine as well as, so we should buy some of the purification tablets, so they're handy.
Where is that? Is that in
It's
there?
not in there.
Oh,
He's just talking.
I'm gonna give this to
about
you to look
Okay.
at, so you can decide, but this is all on Amazon, which I searched a lot of websites. Amazon's the cheapest and easiest to find this stuff, for what we're looking at. So somebody else, a board member or something, could look through it and say, yeah, I think we should do this and whatever, and then we could discuss it at the next meeting.
Okay.
It's all relatively cheap. From what I'm looking at, I'm thinking that we could get by with less than $1,500 and be okay with, at least a comfort zone of a few days, you know? I'm really looking at only like 3 days is really, but within 3 days, somebody's gonna be getting to us to help the community out, so. It ain't too bad. 3 days worth of water, 3 days worth of food for us and our families. Whatever else happens to struggle in here.
Yeah. And they have some at the high school. There was a Girl Scout project.
Yeah, actually, come to think about it, after I talked to Alan Dowd, we might not be able to share anything with the community anyway.
That's
Oh, no, because they bought it. So
yes, we'd
but-
be able to
but
share
would it be
everything
fair?
with the
But would it be
community.
fair? Because now, we're sharing Roosevelt Trails food with Elm Trail, and maybe they don't think it's fair, and they're gonna argue about who got what.
No, I don't think it works like that, but I think, I
'Cause there's
think
a bunch
as
of
long as,
grumpy, angry people in this town. So.
I think as long as it's for the town and for the, and it's actually more so for the employees so that we're able to provide for the
To stay here,
tenants.
yeah.
Yeah, so
Otherwise, we're not
that's,
staying.
right,
Nobody's
so
gonna stay.
that's where it's important.
Or at least not.
Okay, that's,
Okay, so that stuff you can take with you
Wow,
and
they
look
called this Soylent, that's scary.
at.
yes. Okay,
Number 10.
number 10, discussion and vote on resolutions 503 and 534 regarding USDA bonds.
Okay, the update on that is she emailed Nossaman LLP, the people that wrote it.
Oh, this is the one that you had.
Yeah, they had some inconsistencies. She had to the email that she had, which was a generic email. Eventually, they responded that they forwarded the email to another office, and she hasn't heard nothing since. So
Yeah.
it's going somewhere where somebody might be able to answer a question, but it took a few weeks to get a response.
And we have the name of the actual guy. Did she put it to his attention? It's still there because he actually did our last
I
one.
didn't see the email, to tell you the truth.
Okay.
I'm sure she's fully with that. I mean, she had to have read her, she wouldn't have the name or anything. So she's gonna find out on that.
Is that 3 signatures?
That was number 10, correct? These are
That
3
was number 10.
signature, yeah.
Okay.
So that's just on, so we're just gonna carry that over,
Yeah.
Yes,
number 10.
number 10 will carry over. And hopefully we'll get,
Don't worry, Tiffany's
Announce
listening to it. She'll get it from the minutes.
yeah. New business, discussion and vote on office renovation.
Okay, this is a big one for me. I went out to Pine Mountain Club to their water company out there, and when I walked in, their front counter, it used to be just like ours with desk open in the back, now is framed all the way up to the roof with glass in the front and windows. Not bulletproof glass, but whatever it's gonna be, tempered glass like our window expert over here said. But they said they had problems with angry customers, just like we do.
Wow.
And they said it really diffused a lot of that aggression by having that window there. And theirs is nice with oak trim and looks like a cabinet maker made it. I don't know who did it, but I really think that we need to do the same thing with the front counter and put a better lock on this door and keep this door locked so there's a buffer zone between a spit guard and everything else that is nasty when people are yelling and screaming at the front counter, and make her feel a whole lot better.
I've been shocked at some of the attitudes that I overhear.
It's terrible.
Yeah.
It's terrible the way people treat her. And they said that
She's so
It
calm
not-
about it.
she said not only makes the girls feel better, but it diffuses a lot of that because I guess maybe they just
And who
feel
did that, Milk Patrol?
Mil Petro. Maybe it just makes it to where the people can't get as aggressive, so they stay a little calmer by having it there, But whatever it is, it's been working for them, and we've been trying to figure out something. Remember, Judy used to want to turn it into a drive-through because she was so scared of the way people talked to her, and that was 10 years ago. So I don't know what it cost. I can get with them, and then if you guys think that's something you'll be interested in, I'll get whoever did that and get a couple quotes or whatever.
If we were gonna frame something out, just personally, I would say that it should be where the bathrooms never, so that there's still, so it's just.
So what it is, they take from the top of the counter
And go up.
and
but
go up to the
but
roof.
what I'm saying is maybe we need to put like a false wall and
So we have
it's
one
just-
bath. I don't think we can do that. I think we have to have 2 bathrooms. Well, maybe not. Ace only has 1 bathroom. I'll have to check. I think 1 bathroom for.
For employees.
So that
for
people
employees.
can come out this door and go to the bathroom without being, if somebody
Yeah.
was in there and not leaving, and you had to go to the bathroom.
Well, if that happens, I'm calling the cops.
Yeah, I know, but they might take a while to.
No,
If
they're
that
supposed to
if
call
that
the
happens
cops.
while I'm here, it won't be a problem, but it's the problems that happen when she's here by herself.
I know, but I'm just saying maybe that's a better idea if it's something that we could do, that maybe it is a good idea instead of just, and it also gives one more doorway here.
Do we have a public restroom?
I think we do. And even if we don't have to, we need to, because there's a lot of elders.
Or because they're gender neutral.
Yeah.
Right.
And most, well,
So then we just need to push that door back.
yeah, we would just basically, well,
You'd have to frame it up.
Well, yeah.
Or put a wall.
I guess you would. Oh, you'd probably just take those doors off then, move them out farther, I don't know. But yeah, I think it's something that we need to do, you know,
But maybe you can get a quote both ways.
sooner rather than later. And,
You would have to permit.
I really don't think that it's as necessary to not gonna go to the bathroom if she has somebody that looks like he's gonna be aggressive. She's gonna be, you know, texting or pushing the panic button or something
Tell us.
to get somebody here. It's mainly just keeping her, you know, walled off a little bit
Yeah.
with the custody, and it looks nice. It doesn't look bad. It doesn't look like, you know, a check cashing place where there's a hole in the thing, you gotta put your hand through. It looks nice and classy. It just,
You take pictures?
I did take a couple pictures, but I don't have my work phone with me. But you can't really see it too good anyway because my angle. Because now there's not much of a space between the door and the front counter, so I couldn't get back and get an actual picture.
So how do they get stuff back and forth if there isn't like
There's
a
a
little
window. That's what I'm saying. There's two windows, slots that you pass the bill through. And the
Like at a
money.
bank off the hill.
Yeah, but you're saying it wasn't like that.
No, I said it's not like a check cashing place where there's a round hole in the glass that you're putting your hand through, you know? It's actually nice looking and you can see good, but it's gonna diffuse a lot. So we have to get the quote for the wall and repainting and everything of the front office section.
Well, we need to, whatever happened with our painting.
There was too many requirements to get anybody to wanna quote it. You know, there's apples and oranges don't match. You know what I mean? The one guy's really good, the other guy, you know, quotes less, but he's not gonna do as much stuff, and I would have to sit down and write my own bid
I thought we
criteria.
approved the other one. I thought we
No,
approved
you-
the
No,
other
we-
one.
no, we
No,
wanted more
a couple board
information.
members had told me after the fact that we should just get that guy to do it, but there was some people that didn't wanna spend the money on the office, and then others did, and so then I had to try to get the same quote from multiple people, and when I try to tell somebody,
They
hey,
didn't match, yeah.
you can't make a match, so that's what it boils down to, you know? I think we should just go with the guy that's recommended by everybody that uses people and get a quote, and you guys approve the quote and get it painted.
I have a problem with redoing the office only because I'm not sure how you're gonna sell it to the public.
I think that if you don't take care of a building,
Well-
you lose your investment. And this place hasn't been repainted or anything done to it, like the siding is all splitting.
You know, I can tell you that there are people out there that are having problems paying their bill that are gonna be saying, hey, I've got the same problem. I got holes, you know, and
I
rats
know,
coming
but we're
in.
a public.
But we're a
utility
public,
district.
what it
We
boils-
need
we've
to-
gotta
what-
maintain the buildings.
It's just
We
like
have-
that crack right there. If we don't take care of that crack, it's just gonna get like you have to patch stuff, you have to paint stuff. Which is a normal.
What it boils down
Functional
to is
thing.
those same people may say, you can't buy a pump and you can't put a clamp on that pipe because I can't
Well,
pay
they
my
did.
bill.
Those same people
Well, they
said
did
you
say
can't
that.
do
But my
it.
point is, we still have to do that, even though it might not be a comfortable feeling, because if you look at everything known about building maintenance, if you don't do it now,
It's gonna cost
It's
you
gonna cost a lot
thousands
more
later.
and when you walk around and you look, this place is, you know, about 10 years past due for
Yeah,
paint.
we haven't done it for a long time.
You know, we're not trying to get, you know, marble floors and all that kind of stuff. We just need something serviceable and things before it all falls apart. And the outside's real bad. Now that, you know, if you don't paint the fascia soon, that's all gonna start cracking. And then when you do it, you're gonna have to redone and take care of it.
Yeah, because it keeps termites out and stuff too. You've got all kinds of things.
No,
you can
I
do.
didn't.
But so, it's just been a complicated issue, and to be honest, I kinda just tapped out at the time when I was trying to get the same exact quote for multiple people. Most people don't even wanna bid. We have people that will come here and bid, but if we give them, right now, construction is booming. They have more work than they have employees to do it. So when you call people, Yeah, they'll come from Bakersfield
But they're
and
not
give you a
hired.
quote, but when you tell them, I want you to quote, but I want you to quote this guy's quote. So it's the same thing. They're not interested. They're like, "Pfft, yeah, whatever. I'll give you a quote for what I'm in charge, and then that's what it is." But, so I just tapped out. But if you guys want me to proceed with getting an actual quote, and you guys decide if you wanna do it, then we're cool. Even if we go with the lesser quote and just get it painted. I don't know. It's up to you guys. But the main thing is I'll get the quotes for the building the wall because that's a safety issue, so,
We're gonna build a wall?
yeah, we're gonna build a wall.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Except for we'll get it done and it won't cost $6 billion.
Okay,
Number 12?
any more discussion on the, office?
So, I found just a
February.
couple of February 14th, 10.
That's what it says, January 10th.
It's for
But
February
it's
14th.
February 14th, yeah, okay. I was like, wait, what happened to February?
So can you even do it if it was
If it's,
listed
if it's
incorrectly?
No.
not mixed, if it's on the agenda wrong, we can still,
Okay, so she's just gonna have to fix that and
Well,
put it on the next agenda?
Well, mine says February 14th.
Mine says February 14th, the agenda, but the minutes, the agenda says
My
January
agenda says
10th.
January 10th.
We're gonna do,
Right.
instead of 2/14.
Yeah, no, we
14th.
can't because we didn't notice the public. The public thinks it's for 1/10/2019. So if they went over, if they didn't go over, yeah, no, we can.
okay, so,
So we gotta carry that one over too.
number 13.
Yeah, and I do have some stuff on it, so not very much. But.
Can you give these to
Okay.
John, please?
Yeah.
Well, you know what I wish, excuse me, I wish it would have said on the 14th when when we were talking about the auditors. You know, they said to us the reason we're doing good this year is because we raised the rates.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
It's not in here anywhere. I think it should be. You
So
know?
make a note to self.
alright, Gee, you get that,
And then
Tiffany?
Yeah, but we
Yeah,
have
make a
a
note
few
over
other
there,
things
so
too.
and we'll leave it in the book and
Well, we
so you
can't
can
do it right
bring it
now.
up next,
Yeah, next carry it over.
yeah.
Which, can we, I'm sorry, we all wanna get out, can we revisit my manager's report real quick, number 6?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yes,
I'm
Okay.
with that.
The auditor sent a thing because I don't understand still to this point, this time, what the big issue was with reconciling QuickBooks with the front counter because the auditor said the money is all good, it all matches, it's fine. It's some kind of slight tweaking between RBS and QuickBooks. So you guys said, well, give us a quote. Well, the quote is $1,200 to $2,000 for them to come out and figure out how to reconcile between RBS and QuickBooks, which if there's not a problem with the reports from RBS for the money and
But there's a
QuickBooks,
problem with the way it looks. On
but nobody can tell me what that is. I've asked everybody. I've asked Linda, Cassandra, Tiffany. Now I'm asking you guys, what is, if the money's correct,
Because she's making journal entries and stuff that shouldn't, I think. I don't know.
but wouldn't that be an issue with QuickBooks and not because she doesn't make any of those?
No,
on
it's
RBS?
not an RBS issue.
So it's a
an
QuickBooks.
It's a QuickBooks
It's a
issue.
bookkeeper QuickBooks.
It's a bookkeeper issue.
But that's not what they're coming out here for. They're coming out here for, like Linda said, she wanted to be part of learning the front desk, and I had to tell her she's not going to get on that RBS. That was the topic, was her knowing how to get reports out of RBS to make QuickBooks better. That's what they're going to come out for. They're bringing somebody that's an expert in that. And when you quote $1,200 to $2,000, oftentimes it's
But
closer
we're
to $2,000.
paying, but we're also paying every time it's like wrong here to.
But that, what are those situations, and is it going to change by, because her report is generated without change. RBS prints out the reports, they get them every month. The audit every year goes over those reports and says everything's correct, everything's good.
I don't know.
So-
I need to look at it again.
So I don't think the focus should have anything to do so much with RBS to correct that. We already paid for that. So if anything happens, we need to confirm that she's doing all the changes they recommended the last time. So I haven't approved them to come out. They wanted their approval. I haven't approved them to come out because I don't want to spend $2,000 for something that I don't think is broke. If it's to focus on that, or you have specifics of what's going wrong,
Well,
of
there's
course we're gonna do
something
it.
wrong between the way that it spits out there and the way that, like, she has to, it doesn't
But is
say
it the same
the way
situation as like with
I-
your checks and the mail? And I mean, you think maybe that's the issue and not so much
possibly.
the reports?
Well,
Because they say
I-
the money's correct. They're not concerned, and they said that it doesn't really make a real difference, other than I
Makes
think
a
when they do
difference
the
on how
audit,
we-
it's easier for them to see.
And how we read it too, because it's a problem when there's like journal entries correcting stuff all the time.
Yeah, well,
So
that's
it's-
what I'm saying. So, but I think the problem is more in the doing it
I blew it, so this needs to be taped.
than it is in the RBS. Is all I'm getting at. So, hey, how are we going to decide what you guys want to pay for? You guys need to. You want me to have the auditors explain more in depth and include you guys in the email?
Yes,
You know what exactly the problem is and what they're hoping to fix.
yes.
And then you guys could decide. So I'm not
Yes.
going to approve
What
anything
they,
until
what
that
they
happens.
think, what they
the
ascertain
purpose
from
is.
Linda of what they need to do, yes. So that it makes more sense to us, because I think what it is that she has to do more calculations and stuff that,
And she shouldn't have
aren't
to do
there.
that. RBS is
no, because the way it spits it out is different than the QuickBooks, so that's the problem. So I don't know how to resolve that. They were saying that they were probably gonna add something in RBS so that it spits it out a different way.
well, every single time they change anything, I don't care what it is on RBS, it's $500 or more every time. If we want a report to look a little different, $500 every time we do it. So I think it's still more of a training issue with her, because the last time there was issues, it was like separating the accounts from business and you know,
It was
non-business.
having to calculate.
So all of that stuff was already explained how to do it.
But it might.
Instead of spending more money and say, okay, maybe you can come out and give her training on your last recommendations instead of creating new ones that are
Okay.
gonna
So
mimic
what do you
those.
guys think?
Does that make sense?
Do we need an email that just explains more fully what they anticipate, so that we
Before we
could
spend the money?
before.
No,
we-
unless you guys understood better than I did.
I didn't.
I was sitting here
understand
confused
it
'cause I didn't know
well
there was
enough,
any
but
problem.
I understand that there's a problem and that they don't read the same. That's.
But they say it's
Instead of
not
my
of
understanding.
any note that it doesn't affect the bottom line.
But it affects how we. It might not affect the bottom line, but it affects
Something.
what we understand. Yeah, because like the other thing is that when we looked at the budget, it's not. There was some discrepancies in that, right?
Okay, so I will include, who wants to be the two that's included in the email?
well, unfortunately, it's gonna have to be the two that understand
financial.
the financials.
As long as,
You sick of it?
I don't know. I just.
I think right now, are you having a hard time answering emails and stuff right now, getting to them because you've got so much going on. So it doesn't matter who gets them, just somebody to see, or I'll just bring it back to you guys. I'll bring it back to the full board,
Why don't you bring it back to the full board?
the
and let's
emails,
wait a
and then that
month.
way there's no has to be ad hoc or anything. So I'll
Okay.
email them. Next board meeting, we'll.
Yeah, I just don't want to add anything
Yeah.
else because I'm not feeling well.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're good.
Where we're at?
Okay.
We're done. Almost.
Uh, Vote and discussion if there's any future agenda items. That's all I know
Okay.
for future agenda.
Got it. Well, see, I could add all my stuff on agendas anyway, so we don't have to be fine right now. Yeah.
Just as a note, can we go back for a second to the finances with the forestry stuff? Forest
Yes.
Department. What it looks like on the USDA Forest Service is that they're actually charging special use permits on pipeline and on land permits. So it's all the permits that they're not extraordinarily expensive in and of themselves. Like there are
There's just so
195
many.
or 91, but there's multiples, and they're charging us from 2016 to present. So that's why. So they charged us 3 years ago, and now this
Oh,
bill is
okay.
2017, 2018, and 2019.
Yeah.
So that's why it adds up to.
It looked legitimate to me, because they're talking
it,
about-
it looks fine. So I'm.
And since we're on finance, just to let everybody know, I will be transferring 50,000 into the emergency reserve account.
Okay, and I need to, I'm really sorry about this, I need to go back and revisit, 6A. I got an answer back to the quote,
Oh,
so can we do that? Can we go back to 6A?
go ahead.
Yeah.
Okay, it's $86,000 roughly for the repairs.
On top of the 41,000 we've spent.
On top of the 47,000. Just to repair it. So I think that I'm gonna need to go down Monday, talk to Dee and Curtis and sit down and go over how desperate that is, and talk to Dave Warner about
And how long we think.
how
it'll
long the
last.
funding may, all of that stuff, and then we got to get the well back in the ground. So I may
And
have
can
to
we get some sort of emergency grant for the repair? Who knows?
maybe. So I'll discuss all that stuff, and we may have to add a second meeting this month if I get the information rather than wait.
Okay.
So I'll let you guys know sometime next week
Okay,
if we need to do that, so you guys can plan for it.
all right.
That's gonna be another thing that.
That shocks me,
And
to be honest with you.
Well,
Yeah.
it doesn't matter. The bottom line is we have to run this company,
yeah,
and they will. We have
Let's go.
to. We have to spend the money that we have to spend the money to keep
Well,
water in the
These,
community.
and these,
The
just so you
bottom
know,
line.
these are the reasons why that guy said, when he did the rate study, that you need 5 years worth of money. Everybody's like, oh, I don't understand.
yeah.
But
I mean, you're talking
things
about
like this
almost
are
a
big money.
30-year-old well.
Yeah,
say we
I
don't
know,
get,
that's what I'm like, ooh.
say we don't get a grant, and we have to pay for the well.
That's why we have
That's
an
$1 million bucks.
emergency.
$1 million
Yeah.
bucks that we gotta pay. And you don't have a choice, so.
Well, no,
So when people ask, why do you need to raise the rates, you have better ideas, which I probably should send Patrick a copy of the report, if you guys aren't opposed. I should tell her, let it be a newspaper thing, this is kind of what we're going through right now, and so everybody knows, they'll see me going.
Right.
yeah.
Because she was so helpful with that public meeting.
Yeah, yeah, well,
I make a motion that we adjourn.
I second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Oh, I forgot that.
What time?
7:38.
How can you guys read that? Oh, I can read it now, okay.
wow,
Wait, did you see
$86,000
this?
for 3 sections, or what they plan on doing with the
Yeah,
well.
but they're not.